Hey up lads and lasses, Damphyre here, back again with some more Infinite Lagrange. Today I wanted to go through the carriers and suggest some aircraft to go on them. I will only be covering sort of like the top end aircraft here. So yeah, just make like an educated guess. If I put a damaging aircraft or an anti-aircraft aircraft on a, carrier, do the same. If you don't have that one, look for another AA aircraft or another damaging aircraft and that kind of thing. So, because otherwise the video would be like 2 hours long going through each carrier and each bloody aircraft for them. So we'll start off with the smaller things first. And again, I'm still under attack by pirates. They love me over here. So we'll start off with the series. And the destroyers, these are the first sort of aircraft carriers you can sort of get hold of. You have the aircraft type here. And yeah, aircraft maintenance system. So it's going to give you some HP recovery here. It can carry 2 medium fighters or smaller, so you can put light fighters on here. But it doesn't really bring you anything in terms of like any use. I mean, the cooldown extension on the primary weapons by 10% is quite nice off the emergency repair. It's got some good, mods in here as well. But generally speaking, if you don't have Tundra and you don't have maybe even like proper carriers, that is the time where you may use the series to bring in some fighters and that kind of thing. Generally speaking, though, I would recommend running things more like anti-aircraft on here if that is... you don't have the Tundra and that kind of thing. It's where I would run my anti-aircraft, and I did for a while until I picked up sort of better options. So I'd suggest things like Mistrals on here, Strixes on here, Spores don't do too bad on here. You don't really care about the repair. Yeah, okay, you get some extra repair for 2% up to like 10% there, plus the 10% off the base thing. So you get a 20% repair on here, but generally speaking, the aircraft are dead before it gets back to the series if they are under fire anyway. So I wouldn't worry too much about it in the first place. So series, personally, I put my AA ships on here. Next up, we have the Tundra. So the Tundra aircraft, there is really only one option here. It carries 2 fighters again. You get an increased evasion of 10% on them, which is really nice. You get a 15% increased hit rate. You can further increase the hit rate by a further 20%. You got lock-on speeds and RTBs, and it's got literally everything you want. And putting your Mistrals on here is just too good. Like 15% buff on the hit rate on a Mistral and a 10% evasion on the Mistral keeps them alive a bit longer and keeps them going a bit, gets more damage output on them because the hit rates increase, further hit rate from the mod. The aircraft itself having hit rate bonuses as well and evasion bonuses, it becomes very good, really. Mistral is the best aircraft to put on this, which means you only really need to build 5, and I personally only do build 5 of these and put them in a fleet. However, if you wanted to carry that theme on of anti-aircraft, which is what I'd recommend again, I'd say Strix shouldn't do too bad on here, Spores couldn't do too bad, Sandrakes won't be too bad. With Sandrakes, as well, something to note, if you do start seeing a lot of Sandrakes coming in, you can pick this aircraft lock-on warning, increase of the missile evasion of aircraft in the hangar by 6%, times 5, 30%, and it actually is quite a nice little pickup. You drop something like chance of being hit by guided weapons or something like that, which basically the same thing. It's just, I believe torpedoes also count as guided weapons here, so you're getting like a bonus to dodge rate on torps. But this is for the ship itself, if I remember rightly as well. Yeah, it is the ship itself. So you will be losing like some survivability on the Tundra to gain aircraft survivability. I don't think I drop anything else. You could actually drop the damage of aircraft by 10% here. Because again, the Mistral doesn't actually have much damage, so 10% buff's not really all that. So you can pick up the evasion on it. But yeah, Mistral, anti-aircraft fighters on this thing because of the hit rate bonus is going to do really well. Mistral, Strix, Spore, Sandrake. That's my recommendation for the Tundras. So Further down, we have the Guardian. Now, for the Guardian, you're not getting any buffs pretty much whatsoever on the dual purpose. Yeah, it's just carrying 2 corvettes. However, it does have the ability to add triple damage mods, so you're getting a 30% increase of damage on the aircraft here, and you can either pick up a hit rate or a RTB, well, not a cooldown now. I keep calling it RTB because that's what it used to be for like 2 years. That's going to take a while to get out of my head. So yeah, and a cooldown as well, which would, all of them are pretty good. I do recommend the triple damage. When taking the triple damage, this is where this thing kind of shines by using high damage corvettes. So the likes of cellular defenders, which have massive alphas anyway, levies with a huge alpha strike, you get another 30% damage on top of that. That's where this Guardian's really going to shine. Something to note, however, is on the Storm missile system, you used to be able to take focus aircraft fire, which sinks all the weapon systems, and then take the prioritized carrier, which forces your aircraft then to attack carriers. This is not the case anymore. I'm not entirely sure when it changed exactly, but it stopped working. So do be aware of that. But cell defenders, levy 9s, still do really well on it. So I'd recommend the use of that. AC-721. We obviously have the aircraft type again here with the Corvette maintenance system. This one's actually not too bad because you got a nice like mix of everything in here. In my opinion, it does well with things like T-800s if you don't have anything better to put them on. So this is one where I'd be putting something more akin to like anti-air. So we have the new CVM-11, wouldn't do too bad on here. CVM-11s, generally speaking, on the AC-721's just quite nice anyway. And then obviously T-800s are your go-to. But obviously if you can put them on something better, do put them on something better. The AC-721's more of a filler ship if you can't get everything onto all your carriers and better ships in the first place, in my opinion anyway. But yeah, you know, you got lock-on speeds, hit rates, being hit by guided weapons again. It's not bad. It does the job. If you've got really good corvettes and you don't have anything yet to put them on, just put them on these. They do the job. They are perfectly, you know, fine at that. Again, like I said, same with the generic Guardian DP. This is kind of like the things that you use if you don't have Jaegers and the likes. So we've gone through the stories. We'll jump into the cruisers now. Jaegers. Support type, not the anti-ship type. Again, carries corvettes 4. You don't get any sort of added bonuses here or anything like that, which is a bit of a shame. But you do get the prioritized target strategy, attack capital ships, and reduces the attack duration by 25%. In my opinion, these are best served going for your high damage style corvettes, cellular defenders, levy 9s like we spoke a bit earlier about, and they will just wreck through super carriers really nicely. They've got enough alpha to get through armor, especially the levy 9. That thing's got massive alpha to get through any of the super capitals armor pretty much, with the exception of maybe an ST-59 with heavy armor or a spear with heavy armor. So yeah, Jaegers, they're going to be your damage corvettes, and that's what I'd personally put on there. Predators. I did have some built, but they all got blown up yesterday. Yeah, that was fun. So, aircraft loading system, you carry 4 medium fighters in here. It really doesn't matter too much, but something I will suggest, because you can pick up that same strategy from the Jaeger, where you're getting increased damage against super capital ships, I suggest putting high damage anti-ship fighters on here. Now, there is really only one high damage fighter that's anti-ship, and that is the Hayridin, the Loyal Hayridin, whatever it's called. Hayridin fighter. Is it called the Hayridin Loyal? I can't remember off the top of my head at the moment. Mistrals, no. Hayridin's Loyal, yeah. So these are the ones I recommend putting on the Predators. Again, to make use of that strategy that it has, will do you pretty well. And And I've lost my Predators. There they are. And again, it's mostly just due to the fact that you can pick up that prioritized targets here. So you're getting your Hayridans onto big tanky ships. They've got great weapons that if they keep hitting the same ship, so hitting things like super capitals which have high HP pools, they're going to be sat there shooting them a while. They're going to trigger their strategies and bonuses to increase the damage per hit each cycle that they hit. And again, you got lock-on speeds, hit rates, RTBs, cooldowns even. Again, I wouldn't pick up the damage here. I've gone cooldown, hit rate, lock-on speed, and obviously the super cap. You could, in theory, run other sort of damaging fighters and stuff like that on here. Things like Strix could potentially work, but then you will be locking them into a position where they are going for super capitals, where I think Strix are better off personally doing an AA role. But that's my personal opinion there. So that is the Predators. Cass? Oh, we can see the aircraft type, even though I don't have it unlocked, do I? Oh, I do have it unlocked. So the Cass, very similar to the AC721. It's more of a, if you've got nothing better to put things on, you'd put them on here. And again, it's a bit of a generic sort of ship, so you can put your T800s on here. They'll do perfectly fine. You got, you know, double cooldown on here. We've got hit rate bonuses. I think that's the most important ones. We've got lock-on speed. We have got a double damage here, which is quite nice. And you have got, what, 6 slots? So you could go double RTB, hit rate, double damage. But that would mean you'd lose on the lock-on speed, which I think's probably a bit more useful than, say, one of the damages. So do bear that in mind, but these are sort of generic. They will work well as long as you put any Corvette on them. Damage Corvettes, AA Corvettes, pretty much everything works on the Cass. Same as the AC721, really. They're not as specific as, say, obviously, you know, things like the Jaegers and stuff where they're prioritizing super caps, that's where you're going to need like the really important stuff. But things like the Tundra, even though, you know, the buffs are really nice, you can just run anything on them. It doesn't matter too much. My suggestion, though, are AA ships. Battle cruisers. Should I cover the battle cruisers? I mean, some of them can carry. I think the Spear carries Corvettes. I guess at that point, you just carry any Corvettes that you've got lying around that aren't on carriers. Same with the ST-59. I'm even running it at the moment. See, I've picked up double cooldown. I will be picking up hit rate and lock-on speed eventually on here. And I think this is currently running my Strix. But I'm trying a weird fleet at the moment. Ignore the fact that I'm using the ST-59 with an aircraft system on it. It is good, don't get me wrong, but there's probably better things. I mean, the missile system's not bad on that slot either. So yeah, I don't have the Spears Corvette system, I don't think, to show off. This is where I do actually find it. I do have it. So we can put Corvettes on here. You can carry 3 Corvettes here. And again, it's not bad. Maybe you need slots for your T800s and you don't have room anywhere else. You could put them on to the Spear. So, other than that, we have got Ox ships. I think the Idakarin can carry Corvettes, and I believe I do actually have the aircraft system unlocked. So I have a medium hangar to carry 2 aircraft here. Same as before, though. This is kind of like a backup. Just carry a little bit extra aircraft in. It doesn't matter too much. And onto the carriers. We'll start the Marshall Crux, because I don't actually have like anything for this thing, I don't think. No. So the integrated system, obviously you carry large fighters. You get 6 of them. And then I have made this mistake a couple of times. You do get 4 fighters with the extra Corvette, extra system that can be unlocked for it, carrying up to 10. And again, this is a bit more of a generic one. You can kind of put whatever you want on here. It doesn't matter too much. And again, the integrated aircraft hangar, I think, can swap to Corvettes, where you carry 6 Corvettes. Or the integrated aircraft hangar. Obviously, I'd suggest this because you have the large type hangar here and you're trying to bring in your bombers and stuff because they are very, very good damage dealers. And they generally only fit on carriers. I did miss there. One ship, actually, that just reminded me of. I'll cover at the end of the video. CV3K. You have the large aircraft system, which allows you to bring in two lots of loads of fighters. You get 8 fighters here. The standard system, I believe, is corvettes and fighters. It's one of these ones. That's the siege UAVs. It's this one here. So the standard system is the carry corvette. You get 3 corvettes and 5 large fighters. I personally run the double large fighters because, like I said earlier, you have Stingrays you want to be bringing in, Vetus Bs that you want to be bringing in. That's 20 slots of aircraft. So I try and get as many aircraft onto the carriers as possible personally at the moment. So I do run the large aircraft hangars here, and for that reason, I'm going to suggest that any large fighters you've got, Vetus B, and also Stingrays should be going onto your carriers, and then filling up any free slots with sort of leftovers that you have. As for the Solar Whale, the last carrier, I'm trying a bit of an interesting version around here where I'm actually running the ship maintenance system, which was suggested to me, not for the HP recovery, but because you can get triple cooldown reduction here, which is 15% extra cooldown. Obviously, you can go triple damage here as well, but that's not going to do you too much because you only get one lot of upgrades there for 3%, so it kind of sucks quite a bit. And to be honest, I'm not 100% certain of this. This is 15%, and then fair enough, if you do have, like myself, Corvette Dark, this is where you could put, you know, an extra 20%. Now you're running 55% cooldown on your aircraft, and it's going to allow your things like T-800s to absolutely melt through things. At the same time, though, you've just lost the capacity to carry 3 extra corvettes, and I've reduced my carrying capacity of large fighters quite a bit. However, I do have the aircraft tank here, which is bringing in 5 large fighters each, and because the only large fighters you have are Vetus Bs and Stingrays, end of the day, I don't really care because I only need 4 to be able to bring in all 20 of my bombers. So there you go. But this does mean that I've moved other ships onto some of the destroyers and the predators. Like, I've increased the amount of predators I'm building now so I can get Vetus A's and the likes out because you have less room for carries here. However, I have increased the amount of corvettes I'm now carrying instead, so I am using CVM 11s again. And yeah, and it works out quite nice. So, Solar Whale, genuinely speaking, if you've got if you're not running this setup and you're running the extra 3 corvettes and you go double aircraft, you would run all of your bombers. So that's the Stingray and the Vetus B. Then you would run any other slots that you need to fill up there. So if, say, you've got your Tundra as well, that's 10 Mistral that you don't need to put on here, but you've got Strix and other things that can go onto here that'll work quite nicely. The ship maintenance system, if you don't run that, you run the corvettes. You get 3 corvettes per Solar Whale. That's your 15 T-800s, which is what I previously used to run. And then, obviously, you just fill up everything else. And if you run the ship maintenance facility, T-800s work really well on here, and anything else that you want to give a lot of cooldown to. So you have the new CVM 11s look really good to be on here as well when you're running the ship maintenance facility for the extra cooldown. And yeah, so that's about it. Obviously, the ship I missed was the KCCPV, which is here somewhere. Aircraft type. And yeah, you get 2 large fighters, you get plenty of upgrades for it here. Something to note is if you do run the prioritized targets, it's highly recommended that you don't run the bombers on here, so you have to make a bit of a decision between taking prioritized targets or not taking it. If you have no other way of carrying large fighters, don't take it. And put your Vetus Bs on here and your Stingrays. At which point you fill up pretty quickly because you'll need 10 of these to get all 20 of those aircraft out. However, if you have got carriers but you're just looking for something extra to bring in some extra ships in, I probably wouldn't recommend running this for 16 CP for 2 aircraft. Isn't particularly good when you consider things like Predator's 18 CP for 14 aircraft. So yeah, you'd probably be ignoring this ship at that point. However, if you're desperate, you can throw pretty much anything on here. Just don't take. You can take the prioritized targets, and then things like Stingrays will actually work quite nicely on here. Mistrals, Spores, and the likes, and that prioritizes them to go after enemy T-800s quite well. So that is my sort of recommendations for what to put on the carriers. Hopefully this video isn't too long. And yeah, have a good one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.